Welcome, Team Mudhole. My name is Jesus Peña, and I'm one of the instructors at Mudhole. What we're going to be doing now, or today, is we're going to be working on applying snakeskin, or a skin that Mudhole offers. For example, rattlesnake, which is pretty cool. You have sea snake, and you also have cobra. And all these are available through Mudhole, and they come in sizes, and they sell it by the inch. And I like to use this in the area of what I call the split grip on my rod. So for example, just like any other rod build that you're going to do, the first thing you want to do is you want to set everything up to where it's going to go. Pre-plan is what I like to do. So I know my butt cap's going to go here. I know my rear grip is going to go here. So again, I'm planning on where I want to put it. The only thing you have to be careful with when you're applying skins or vinyls is the pattern. What you want to do is you want to capture the actual pattern of whatever it is you're applying. So in this case, we're going to be using rattlesnake. And for those of you who don't know, I'm from South Texas. Very common for us to use this on our rods. So I'm going to be using the rattlesnake pattern. So what I'm going to do again, and some of the tools that you're going to need for this application is going to be masking tape, Sharpie, your highlighter, your grease pencil, burnishing tool, paintbrush, and some thread preserver. Now, the skins do not have an adhesive backing on them. So what you need to use is a thread preserver. So buying the thread preserver will cover a couple things. Number one, you'll be able to use it for applying skins. And of course, you can use it for other applications. So keep that in mind. And of course, a ruler. We've got the plastic one, which is nice. We've got the new one, the aluminum one. And of course, you can use whatever you have available at your house for the application. So let's get started. Again, so what I want to do is I want to get the diameter of the rod blank larger, smaller. And I want to make sure my skin fits where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to use my grease pencil. I'm going to mark the front, and I'm going to mark the rear of where it's going to go. Also, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I capture the pattern of the skin itself. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll put a little crease right in the center, just to make sure that when I do get the measurement correct, that I capture the pattern. So what I'm going to do now is what I found, and this application of using the masking tape to get the diameter of the rod blank can be used for abalone, it can be used for vinyls, and what we're doing right now is we're using it for skins. So I'm doing the rear, and now I'm going to do the front. And it doesn't take a lot. What I'm doing is just a few bands, maybe 3, 4, and then I'm stopping. And again, it's just trying to capture the diameter of what you're using. Now, what I want to do is, to avoid any confusion, I want to put an R for rear and an F for front. Because what we want to do is we want to capture the diameter of the rod blank. Thicker, smaller. So now I'm going to grab a razor blade. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to dig in too deep into the blank. You just want to scar the tape. And then I'm going to use my burnishing tool to break it apart. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the rod blank. Now, since I'm going to capture the pattern, I put a little crease right down the center, so I know that I'm going to be capturing the actual pattern of the skin that I'm using, or the vinyl that I'm working with. So if you put this on the front, what happens is it will pull the scales off. Since this is an actual skin, so you want to put it on the back side. You don't want to put it on the front, so you don't remove any scales. So now I'm going to grab a ruler. And also, I don't want to leave any marks on the front side. And I'm going to line it up. And basically, I'm lining up the edge of the front and the rear. Okay, just doing the front and the rear. Now I'm gonna do the same thing on the opposite side, and just gonna follow the edge of the masking tape that you applied to the back side of your skin. And again, this application can be used for abalone, vinyls, and again, like I mentioned before, I like to use a pair of scissors, and I like to dedicate them specifically for decals. I don't like to cut thread with them. I like to keep them nice and sharp and use them only for decals. Now, these don't have any adhesive on it. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna grab my color preserver and a paintbrush. I'm gonna remove the tape, but prior to removing the tape, I put, again, the mark rear and front, just to be on the safe side. Because remember, what you want to capture is you want to capture the diameter of the rod blank itself you're working with. Now, what I'm gonna do with the color preserver is I'm gonna put it on sparingly. I'm not gonna be trying to conserve and try to be safe, and just put as much of it on as you can. It wipes off. You can clean it up real easy with water. Wipes right off. Now, what I like about working with skins, what I think is really nice about working with skins, is it gives a little bit. So if you happen to be a little bit short, it's okay, you can stretch it actually, is what I mean. It can actually stretch a little bit and give you just a little bit more coverage. So as you can see, I put a generous amount on. And the main thing is you want to put it on the way you actually. So I'm gonna go rear and front. And again, what I like to do is I always like to work off the spine or the strongest access point of the rod blank. And I'll use my shop lighting as a starting point, and I'll just work it around. And just take your time. Again, the key is take your time, don't be in a hurry. While it's in the drying process, again, what I like to do is I like to put thread, wrap some thread on it. And what the thread is gonna do, it's gonna hold it tight while it's in the drying process. And here you want to pick up the edges and corners and just work your way down. Just work your way down. Once this is dry and I remove the thread, and what I'm going to do next after this process, after a couple hours, let it dry, I'll come back and I'll put finish over it. The same finish you use on your thread work is the same finish you'll put on this. I think you guys really enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think it adds a lot of pop to your rod build, and you'll stand out from everyone else.